Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Thursday, February 27th, 2014. Actually, today there is some kind of fun news. I'm starting with it this is from the big picture. Fox News, perhaps the Boston bombings may have never occurred. What do you know about that? And there's another article pertaining to CNN. The Daily Sheeple. Even CNN can see it. Perhaps the Boston bombings may never have occurred. And I'm going to read this first paragraph just because it's kind of fun. When the possibility of a conspiracy is so blatant that even CNN on it, you know that the government is losing its grip over the Ministry of Truth, the mainstream media. So I thought that was fun, and hopefully this is a sign of good things to come, that the official stories are breaking down, and once people begin to realize for real how the extent to which the U.S. government has been deceiving all of us and manipulating the press and taking away rights, the walls will crumble pretty quickly, I believe. And it seems as if people are at least beginning to perceive what's going on. And we who are have been aware of these things for a longer time can not laugh at them and say, see, I told you I was right, I told you so, but, you know, take them by the hand and help other people understand the depth of the corruption, so they don't just think this is a few random, you know, if we get rid of this president or that congressman, the problem will go away. No, it's a much deeper problem, and we need to pull up all the weeds by the roots, not just cut them off at the top. I mean, when we begin to expose truth, let's help people go down deep and understand the whole picture. If you are invested in the stock market, you may be interested to learn from the Daily Paul that George Soros bought $1.3 billion worth of put options on the S&P 500. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that he is expecting the index to go down. A put option is an option that anticipates that the value will go down, and then when the value does go down, you make a lot of money. This is, heavily leveraged. I mean, from 1.3 billion, depending on how much these cost him, it's possible to make just untold amounts of money from this kind of a trade. And George Soros is expecting the S&P 500 to go down. So we'll see what happens with that. George Soros will make some tidy sums on those trade positions, if he is right that the S&P 500 goes down. But from Zero Hedge, here's an article: clearing billions in profit is about to get much harder. That's why George Soros is betting on the market. Really, that's almost a gambling position. But although he probably knows something that we might not know, but it is becoming more difficult just in honest business practices, in manufacturing, marketing, and selling a product and making a profit is about to get much harder. And this is an interesting article and explains things very well, very clearly. I'm going to scroll down to the conclusion. The point is this: technology lowers margins and credit bubbles inevitably pop. Any company or nation that depends on maintaining high margins in credit bubble-based growth is about to find that it's much harder to net $1 billion, much less $1 trillion. And the macro picture: China and the emerging markets are slowing as various credit bubbles pop. And we have an article about China talking to the U.S. about what you could call our credit bubble, from Sherry questioning all, wow, China let the U.S. have it at the G20 meeting that just ended. And the issue is this, that American Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew had criticized China for its failure to show any signs of accelerating economic reform in line with U.S. expectations, and called for China to speed up reforms, though facing the risk of social and political turmoil. Chinese Finance Minister Liu Jiwei responded in kind by pointing out that the U.S. had not engaged in any structural reform either, but had revitalized its economy by printing money. China's shadow banking was still connected with the real economy, while the shadow banking products of Western economies, such as CDS, credit default swap, have nothing to do with real economic activity. And China is correct in stating that. Printing money is not a long-term solution. And talk about a bubble popping. Now I want to change gears, and for several articles I want to focus on the Bill of Rights, our freedoms, most particularly the First Amendment, freedom of speech, but I also am mentioning the Fourth Amendment in one of the articles. I'm going to start with this, though, because it relates directly to police, and the Fourth Amendment article does as well. Cop tells student filming him, "You have just lost your free speech rights." So now we have policemen arbitrarily telling people when their constitutional rights apply and when they don't. From Suzanne Purcell at Occupy Corporatism, Supreme Court Fourth Amendment no longer applies to police. And there's a question mark here, but the courts are looking at this, leaning towards saying that that they don't. And you know, the Fourth Amendment is illegal search and seizure, and a basic right to privacy and security within your own home. And they are pushing on this to say that the police don't need a search warrant. Well, if you read the Fourth Amendment, it's very clear. And I happened to read the Fourth Amendment the other day. Not only, you know, we know that they're not allowed to search without a search warrant. That is clear. I mean, that's the essence of the Fourth Amendment. There's no question there. There's no shadow. It's very clear in the way that it's stated. And not only do they need a search warrant, they are not permitted to search or seize or prosecute anything else they find. The search warrant has to be specific in what they are looking for. And you know, if they're looking for cocaine and they find heroin, technically, if the search warrant states cocaine, they shouldn't go after the heroin. They shouldn't prosecute for heroin. So I'm astonished in reading through the Bill of Rights at how they have been trampled, not just ruffled a little bit, but they have been trampled. And you know, the courts judges go by precedent. What has passed before can pass again, and you know, they build law upon precedent. And in doing that, if there's a past precedent for trampling on somebody's rights, each time they build and build and build and build through precedent. And I believe that jury nullification is a way to combat that. But also, you know, we can also just demand that the courts take another look at some of these issues. Here from Washington's blog, White House panelist on NSA and former counterterror czar says NSA may enable a police state. Once you give up your rights, you can never get them back. Once you turn on that police state, you can never turn it off. Well, let's hope that he's wrong, and because what I was just talking about, many things need to be reversed, and perhaps juries can do some of that. Laws can be repealed, revoked, and it's really crucial that we begin this process now of restoring our republic before things get so much worse that we are no longer able to recover. This is an article, well, a video actually, where a lawmaker is asking the press to exercise their First Amendment rights and determine what really happened at Benghazi. And this is from the Universal Seduction. Trey Gowdy demands answers on the scandalous cover-up of Benghazi. And there's a YouTube video. So there are some guys, even within the government, as corrupt as it is, who are asking for justice and who are encouraging people to seek and ask questions. From the Electronic Frontier Foundation, bad facts, really bad law. Court orders Google to censor controversial video based on spurious copyright claim. What happened here is a lady, an actress, was in a film, a 13-minute video, and she was in approximately 5 seconds of it. The video did not turn out the way she anticipated, and she is arguing that she was kind of, I guess, tricked into making this false pretenses. She didn't understand what was going on, basically, or she claims she didn't. And so she asked the court to require Google to take the video down. The district court wisely refused, noting that Garcia's copyright interest was unclear at best. Garcia appealed, and today the Ninth Circuit agreed with her and ordered Google to take down all copies of the video and take reasonable steps to prevent further uploads. I don't even know what to say about this. This is so wrong on so many levels. I think that I will move away from this article just by saying this. If you are producing films, be really careful who you include in the film. If it's something that you really want to be out there, you know, don't put some flake in it. From Washington's blog, The Secret Playbook of Social Media Censors. And really, I'm still in the First Amendment freedom of speech aspect of today's news, because these things all relate to that. Freedom of speech. You know, the people who made that film had a right to make the film. They had a right to get people to participate in the film. And so it obviously, the free speech aspect was given a lower position than the copyright aspect. And that is not good law, because free speech is a higher law than copyright law. It's part of the Bill of Rights. So the Secret Playbook of Social Media Censors. Of course, you can put your information out there, but to some extent, these people are infringing upon the right of information to follow the natural course of being recognized and acknowledged by stifling some articles that the powers that were, the powers that should not be, as Fritz Springmeier calls them, don't want out there. So the Secret Playbook is the counter reset. If you have made videos, written articles, blogs, and they are not in the position that you would anticipate, it could well be because they will reset the counter. And I have noticed on YouTube, and I don't make these videos to be recognized or acknowledged. I make them because I want to make a record of what's going on, and even for my own personal just sense of history, I want this frame of reference. So, like I said, I don't really care how many people watch, how many people don't watch. I, of course, am glad when people do watch and are helped by the videos, but that's beside the point. I notice on YouTube that when I check one of my videos, other ones will come up on the right-hand side because they're related. And sometimes, you know, they might be a week or two old, and the counter shows that they've had 9 views. Well, I click on it, and the actual truth is they've had 50, 60, 70 views. So YouTube, you know, they might say that some of their servers aren't refreshing, whatever. It is clear that this is happening, that articles that have potential to have an impact have the counter reset so that they don't catch on. So why would they reset the counter? Because a story gaining momentum ranks high on social media sites. So it has a high probability of bursting into popular awareness, destroying the secrecy, which allows corruption, and becoming a real challenge to the powers that be. Social proof is a related concept. Social proof is the well-known principle stating that people will believe something if most other people believe it. In other words, most people have a herd instinct. So if a story ranks highly, more people are likely to believe it and be influenced by it. That is why vested interests go to great lengths using computer power and human resources to monitor social media momentum. If a story critical of one of these powerful entities is gaining momentum, they will go to great lengths to kill its momentum and destroy the social proof, which comes with a lot of upvotes, likes, or recommendations in social media. So, you know, kudos to Alex Jones. He has overcome this. He has broken through this glass ceiling, and people know who he is. And, you know, a lot of people believe that he's not the real deal because he has achieved that measure of success. I do not happen to be one of them. But again, if you are blogging, making videos, whatever, be aware of this and don't be discouraged by this. Because, yes, they are, you know, your stuff might be really good. And it's just not being acknowledged, or you think it's not, because they reset the counters. Here from Privacy Online News, understanding why the NSA is a threat to the First Amendment. Without anonymity, free speech does not exist. And I will just leave that at that. From xrepublic.tv, IRS speech police. IRS proposes new limits on political activity. IRS scandal. So see, they're not taking on the First Amendment head on. They are doing these sneaky little, you know, the copyright, the counter reset, the IRS going after people whose political views they don't like, and using some of these arms of government and corporations as weapons against us. Okay, so enough on the First Amendment. I have a few articles that I didn't open the links just because it freezes up Firefox so badly. But I thought these articles were interesting, and I will include the links in the notes. Alert, wake up, you're being played by the intelligence community. So, little information here in case you're interested. Obama's secret project, Pentagon invests in manufacturing hubs. Also, Bob Jones Memorial Service and Prophecy. From RT, Monsanto's Roundup may be linked to fatal kidney disease, new study suggests. And I did mention that yesterday. I think I said kidney failure, but it is kidney disease. So filter your water. Get a good filter. That's my advice. You can't stop drinking water, but maybe you can filter out the Roundup. From John Rappaport's blog, Not One Case of Harm from GMOs. And John Rappaport has been writing recently a few articles about Monsanto GMOs and why this is such an issue. And this is yet another one. He always has such a great perspective, humor, fun to read, and makes the truth palatable. From Infowars.com, IRS prepared to enforce Obamacare with fines and fees. And yeah, this is happening. And yet another use of the IRS. And I do just want to mention that, and I mentioned this one day last week, that filling out forms for the IRS requires you to potentially incriminate yourself. So, because they will go after you criminally, depending on perhaps some of your answers in filling out the form. So, this is a breach of your Fifth Amendment rights when they ask you to fill out these forms. But I did specifically have this article pertaining to the IRS supporting Obamacare, because guess what? The Obamacare mandate is probably unconstitutional because it originated in the Senate. And the 10th Amendment Center has brought this to our attention. A lawsuit brought by Matt Sissel, a self-employed artist, contends that the penalty is void under a provision in the Constitution called the Origination Clause, Article 1, Section 7. Clause 1, it reads as follows: all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. So, as a tax, Sissel argues, the financial penalty is for raising revenue. He then notes how Obamacare was adopted. First, the House passed H.R. 359 and this article goes on to explain why this artist believes that the Obamacare mandate is unconstitutional, and certainly it's a very good argument. I have seen some really good reviews of this book, Popsicle Man. It sounds like it's a great expose in fictional form, which I think makes things many times makes truth more palatable to people. Stephen King wrote in a dedication of one of his books to his children that fiction is the truth inside a lie. And sometimes we are just better able to see the truth inside of fiction. So it sounds like this is a great book and sounds like a really good read, and perhaps something that will help a lot of people to wake up. We can hope. With that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.